Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk on behalf of Wanjiku because I'm also a Wanjiku on the action that was taken on 26th of January 2022 by our so-called honorable MPs in the August House. Yesterday, the MPs from one wing of the political divide decided to paralyze all the business in Parliament by intentionally refusing to approve the names of the members of various House business committees. Some time back, some members of those House business committees were dropped by one of the political wings and replaced by others who they felt are the right people to represent their interests in the House. But the opposing political wing went ahead without caring the consequences of their actions, refused to pass the names of the members of those committees. With that action, it meant that there are no business transactions that can be taken in Parliament for the next 6 months. Sometimes we are told, before you take an action, think about the consequences of your action. Because there are certain actions you can take out of emotions or to prove a point, but at the end of the day, in the process of proving your point, you cause more harm to other innocent people who are not involved in the fight or in the conflict with your opposing members or your opposing political wing. Now, this was a very selfish move, a move that really showed that though members of Parliament are put there by the electorates to represent their interests, yesterday they looked at their own interests and they used that avenue as a way of settling their scores with the other wing of the political divide. And they ensured they did this when those members of the other wing were absent from the House, and as a result, they were able to outnumber them. According to them, that was a smart move. Now, the Kenyan political system is becoming a very unique type of politics in Africa and if not the world as a whole. Because we, the politicians, are looking at everything from a political angle, especially when the electioneering period is near. So everything is about politics, even if those ideas mean well for the whole country. Now, when you paralyze the business of the House, you thought that you are punishing the other wing. But in reality, the person whom you punished was the same electorate you deemed to be fighting for. And in this case, Wanjiku ended up being the sufferer. Wanjiku ended up being the sufferer, although he was not involved in the fight. So what this meant is there are no budgetary allocations that can be made at this time. There are no budgetary allocations that can be made And budgetary allocation means even the allocation of salaries to pay the civil servants will not be there, because you don't just wake up and decide. It has to go through those committees to approve, to debate, and implement, so that they are forwarded to the Treasury to carry out the necessary implementation. With no businesses going on in Parliament for the next 6 months, it also implies that there will be no budget for the same elections that you are preparing for. So the IEBC will not have money to run the elections. So whatever you did, you thought you are punishing, but it is an action in futility. It will not benefit anyone. And if anything, you are punishing an innocent person. When you go out there doing your campaigns, you say you are fighting for the common mwananchi. But when you say you are fighting for a common mwananchi, only to make him suffer because of making some decisions that do not make sense or hurt the same electorate you tell us that you are fighting for, actually it doesn't make sense. So, electioneer period, we know there is euphoria. Everybody is trying to outdo the other, and that is normal in a competition. But as you do these competitions, at the back of your mind, you should know that elections come, elections go, but Kenya and the Kenyans will remain. So you tell us you want us to call you honorable members because of doing honorable things, doing things that make sense. But what you did yesterday hurt the common mwananchi the worst. How is this common mwananchi going to survive if he has no salary? Yet you are saying you are fighting for the same person. So it is good that we start looking at politics from a different dimension. It is still part of us, but there is always time for everything. And even the decisions you make, if you are making decisions which are partisan or making decisions aimed at favoring you who is doing this, at the expense of your opponent, in the process you make an innocent person suffer, then those decisions are not worthy. Wanjiku, you are the grass. The two opposing parties are the bulls fighting. When two bulls are fighting, it is the grass that suffers. Wanjiku, you are the grass. It is your time now, Wanjiku, to say yes, I made you who you are, but I can still do otherwise. Let us use the power of our votes. Let us put the right people in the right positions so that we do not regret for the next 5 years, yet we are the cause of our own suffering. Kenyan politics needs a reform. Let us not always be the laughing stock of our neighbors. We are in the electioneering mood. At the end of one election, we mark the beginning of another. We cannot be in the electioneering mood throughout. There is always time for everything. There is time for politics. There is time for development. There is time for unity. There is time for Wanjiku. Wanjiku has a voice. He has put you in that house to represent him or her, and you represent her the right way.